Alright guys, let's do this slab. The last method, we've looked at the pinch, we've looked at the coil, and now to do a slab. I did add another coil to my little Model Magic bowl, and I've kind of finished this off with thin, actually added one more coil and then added a really thin one on top. It's got its feet, so it raises up off the surface of the table. It's got a little more character to it. And now I'm going to make a slab, which is basically just flattening it out. And you want to be careful not to get it too thin. So one rule to try is to make sure it doesn't get too thin. And you could always test it out, see if it balances on your hands. And if it doesn't completely flop over, then you know that it's a decent sized slab. And ideally, you want a larger piece usually in slab construction to make a larger box, but it's how you build with flat shapes. But what I'm going to go ahead and do to finish off my little creation here, I'm going to cut out a narrow slab. So I'm just using my fork to cut it into a longer shape, longer rectangular shape. And let's see if I can curl this around and connect it together. Make a cylinder. This might be an interesting thing to attach to my coil pot to finish it off. But that is essentially, since it is one piece of clay, I didn't really use any slip. It's still kind of moist. But since it is one piece of clay, it's not going to fall apart. It might disconnect, but notice how I smoothed it out. You can still see the seam a little bit on the inside of it, but if I use my thumb, I could kind of erase away that seam, and that helps it become more solid as well. Maybe I could roll out another quick coil, and just to demonstrate how I might want to add this on top, I'm going to add another coil. This time I don't want it to be as wide, so I'm going to make some little score marks on here. I did add a little lip on it to kind of finish it off, but that might be a good thing to add at the end. I'm going to put the little slip on there, and this time I'm going to put the coil on the inside of this shape. So I'm going to curl it in here, and notice it's going to make the opening smaller. So I'm actually putting on a smaller coil on the interior, so the bowl is going to curve inward. So I want to spend a minute pushing it together, making sure that I eliminate any openings, get a good connection, so I'm not pinching it super hard. Get a little slip on there to kind of help me smooth it out. I could try to spend time erasing away the lines, but sometimes it's cool to see how it's hand built. And now let's see. That fits pretty good. It does have a slight bit of openings on here, but I could imagine that being connected. And I do have a little bit of clay left over. And so what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and like kind of rough it up a little bit. Give it some score marks. Let's put some score marks on the bottom of this. I'm going to add a little bit of slip. Okay. Get it nice and moist on either side. How about a little bit of slip on here as well? And notice I am not adding too much because I don't want it to get slippery. You'll set it here. And notice it's not going to be so deep that I can't put my finger on the inside. That's one trouble that you got to remember, is you don't want to work too big that you can't reach inside. So now I'm going to push this slab created cylinder into the top of my coil pinch pot with the coil base, or I should say the coil pot with the pinch pot base. And now I'm pinching it and smoothing it out, and it's done. I'm gonna let this have some time to dry. Maybe I can even X marks the spot here, get a little more slip. X marks the spot here, attach a heart to it. Now I've got a vase, a little miniature vase with 3 basic shapes on the bottom as feet, and he's done.